Okay, welcome again. Let's get started here. So today's presenters are leaders at ADR Vantage, a premier national conflict resolution firm with over 30 years of experience partnering with Graduate School USA to deliver this webinar and the PMC course. Tara Taylor is an ADR Vantage managing director, a conflict resolution expert, and a longtime mediator, coach, and trainer who has mediated hundreds of workplace conflicts, has directed several government and non-government mediation programs, including 2 decades running Maryland's first statewide civil rights employment mediation program. Melinda Ostermeyer is a director of programs, former head of 2 national recognized dispute resolution programs in the DC courts and Houston, Texas, and she has trained hundreds of mediators and evaluated the performance of mediators across more than a dozen countries. Together, they bring over 55 years of experience and have trained hundreds of federal employees. I am pleased to hand it over to Tara.
Hello, friends. Welcome, welcome. So glad you're here. We've got just an hour to pack in a ton of information so that you know all there is to know about becoming a certified professional mediator. So thrilled to have you here. Melinda, it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to
All
see
right.
you as well. I'm thwarted by the fact that we can't see all those faces, wonderful faces out there in the
I know
audience.
it. I
But
know it.
hello.
Hello, hello, all. Well, we know you're here, and if you've just joined us in the chat, feel free to drop the name of the agency or organization that you're with, or maybe that you were last with. We'd love to see that. We've got quite a spread of agencies and a few new ones that have been dropping in. So take a peek and see who else is interested in being here today. And really appreciate that Amanda and Shige are in the background for any technology needs that you might have. In a few moments, we're going to kind of disable the chat and really focus on this content, but we'll be dropping things in here and there and also using the question and answer function. So for those of you who are in the Q&A dropping your agency, go ahead and move over to the chat, and that's where you're going to put it in the chat so that everybody can see it. All right. So again, welcome to this fabulous course that we're going to preview for you. Before we get into the agenda, though, just want to take a quick temperature of everyone who's here. So you're going to use your emoji function. And if you've never used that before, you're going to go down to the bottom of your screen and hover over the 3 dots that say more. Click on it. And there's a little heart that says react. If you touch that, you're going to have access to all kinds of emojis, and I want you to choose one that reflects how conflict feels to you in your current workplace. This is a tricky one. You got to look through that library. Ooh, yes, I see lots of like open mouths as if, boy, I don't really know about conflict in my workplace. Some people are saying yes and a heart. Yeah. Don't forget, you can click on the react. Some people are crying. Melinda, I see all kinds of them. Again, the question is choose an emoji that reflects how conflict feels in your workplace. I see lots of like exploding, exciting.
Yeah, I know. I'd love to hear more about what that's about, but
Yes,
yeah.
yes, lots of different ones. Yeah, a few more folks are doing their emojis. For those of you who've never done the emojis, we're going to use it again later. So now you know, and you're an expert in it. Thank you for doing that. All right, so let's move on just a little bit. I saw all those responses, and it was kind of a mix of excitement or happy. There were ones that looked stressful or sad. So all different kinds of emotions coming out. And that's pretty normal for everyone to feel different things related to conflict and different types of conflict in the workplace. So let's just see how common this might be. We're going to do our first poll of the day. It's going to be on the slide, but you're also going to get a pop-up poll. So if you've never done this before, again, yay, you're going to learn it today. And the poll's really asking you to take a moment and think, how prepared do you feel to handle the conflict situations that you actually face at work? And if you're not working right now, then think back to your last position. How did you feel? How prepared did you feel to handle conflict situations? very prepared, mostly prepared, somewhat prepared, underprepared. Take a second. Everybody select a response in the poll. And then in just a few seconds, Shige is going to let you see the results. Thank you. Melinda's kind of a mix here, but I like that it's sort of centered in the middle, right? I'm like mostly prepared, but probably some things I could still learn. I'm somewhat prepared, but I know there's maybe bigger gaps. And then we've got a few handful of people who are very prepared and some that totally admit they are underprepared. So I love the honesty. I appreciate it. We're going to close out that poll and really take a chance to address that as we kind of move forward into the class. I think that the reason we're here is because there is such a spread of preparation and skill knowledge around how to handle conflict effectively in the workplace. There's a gap there between the conflicts you face and the tools that you have. And it's something that we see in every federal agency and, quite frankly, in every organization that we work with. And it's fixable. In the next 60 minutes, it's going to be a little less than that, 54 minutes. Melinda and I think, are going to make the case that mediation may be one of the most powerful professional skills you can develop as a federal employee and as an employee in any organization. And we're going to show you exactly how our 7-day fully virtual certification course can change the way you handle conflict in the workplace, but in life every day. So I'm going to ask that Amanda drop a handout into the chat for everyone. This handout will be available to you. We'll drop it in a few more times, and we'll also send it out to you in a follow-up email. So no worries, but it's got a lot of good information in it. And really what's key and what I want to point out is this course that we're previewing is not just a participation certificate. This is a professional credential that qualifies you to serve as a mediator in your current agency, maybe in your state's court system, for a local mediation program, and anywhere else where mediators are used. So we're going to kind of get into it. Today, we're going to cover a few things. Talk about mediation, particularly in the federal sector. We're going to talk about the benefits of that certification. We're going to give you a couple of little hints into things that we teach in the mediation course and do some skill building with you. And then we will get into all the details of the course and the upcoming cohorts that are available, and we'll answer your questions. So hopefully that sounds good. Give me a thumbs up emoji if that sounds good to you. Find that emoji button again. Yeah, there it is. There it is. I love it. All right. Good, good, good. And don't forget this session's being recorded, as Amanda said, so you can always come back to it or you can share. So Melinda, I'm going to turn to you, I believe, and we're going to jump in.
Yes. We want to start out with why mediation matters. And I want to share just a personal quick story about a mediator that I trained a while ago, and sort of the impact of this program on his life and his interactions. As you mentioned, was mentioned earlier, I ran a large mediation program in the DC courts, and most of the civil cases there were required to go through mediation. And so a lot of our mediators that worked with us were lawyers as well. And they always said that they liked going and becoming mediators and learning through the training and so forth, because it made them better lawyers, it made them better negotiators, it made them better communicators in their personal and professional life. And through the years, I've heard a lot of stories that make that theory stick out as being true. One was we were in a certification course, and you'll get a lot of feedback from the trainers who are experienced mediators throughout the course. So be prepared for that if you sign up, which is good because you know what you're doing well and what you can make shifts at. So I was giving feedback to a lawyer named Wallace, and I told him that he needed to really watch his lawyerly tendencies, and that could sometimes make him feel distant, right, from the people that he's working with in the mediation. And he needed to be really fully present and be available to hear what people are saying and understand why they're saying it and things like that. So I told him he needed to really intentionally practice this throughout his whole, day and life, personal life, to really kind of get it. About a couple weeks later, he called me and thanked me and said this one shift of really being intentional in the way he was interacting with people really changed his relationships and helped his interactions be more effective and things like that. And now he could do it without thinking about it, right? Without trying to do it intentionally, it became more natural. So, just as a side note, Wallace is one of my better friends today. He left the practice of law. He went on to be the director of mediator training at the DC courts. He was an ombuds for the World Bank, the IMF, the Pan American Health Organization. So it really took him on a very different career path. But I'll always remember the story that he shared as being pretty significant. So, just a personal thing about what I've seen this program do for folks. We want to talk a little bit about the cost of conflict. Managers, we understand from research, are spending about 40% of their time, and really nearly about half of them feel prepared to do that. So that balance is not what we'd like it to be. We also know that, there's a lot of conflict. About a third of employees report dealing with conflict, and that's up over recent years. We know that 67% of employees take extra measures to avoid coworkers where they might disagree. And I'm sure I've never done any of this, but sort of rerouting your way to the hall and the hallway so you miss them or not get on the elevator with them, skipping meetings, canceling one-on-ones, all those kinds of things, which means conflict is really consuming a lot of time and energy just trying to avoid it and go around it as well. So it's clear that people are dealing with conflict in the workplace, and I'm curious from you, and we have another poll here. In your agency, where do you see conflicts most showing up? And that poll is on your screen again. Is it really between supervisors and employees, tensions, coworkers or on teams, leadership or cross-departmental disputes? More HR complaints or investigations, the EEO and discrimination complaints, union or non-union employee grievances, or all of the above. So, where do you think you are seeing those conflicts show up in these kinds of categories in your organization? Please open the poll and let us know what you think anonymously about where things are happening in your places of work.
Boy, Melinda, when you see it listed out like this, conflict can be in so many places, right?
Exactly.
Oh
Right.
my
Well, all
goodness.
those kinds of, relationships and interpersonal situations occur. So curious to see what we see here. All right. So supervisor, employee, and interpersonal kind of peer-to-peer within teams, and then sort of all of the above seem to really be, paramount here. And some across departmental disputes, we've seen a lot of that. And when those are resolved, the impact across the organization, because it filters down to your teams, the way they interact with each other, a lot of that. Great. So in the mediation certification course, we do a lot of role playing, and we'll talk about that or practice sessions. And you're going to see situations from all these different categories, right? So that during the certification, you feel confident not only in the mediation process, but always in these different types of relationships and situations. Want to talk a little bit about, let's see here, there we go. The Administrative Dispute Resolution Act, since most of you we are presuming are from the federal government, want you to know, we're going to go over this really quickly. You can delve into it more with lots of research, but the Administrative Dispute Resolution Act of 1996 really created a government-wide framework for ADR, and it authorizes federal agencies to use ADR, alternative dispute resolution, of which mediation, facilitation, arbitration, and so forth are a part of that, and are encouraging to use that instead of litigation. Requires agencies to adopt policies promoting the use of ADR. Requires designation of dispute resolution specialists and some training in the agency, and encourages review of contracts and procedures and things like that to include ADR options. So it really sets federal organizations up and shows the importance that the federal government feels about this. We know many of you that are here today with your agencies, you have internal mediators within your organization already. Many places do. And or they might contract with an external firm like ADR Vantage or others. We do this for some federal government agencies where we provide the mediation service and case management service around all of that as well. So again, you can see a lot there. I want to define mediation. We've thrown that word around a lot. It may mean different things to different people. For our perspective, we simply define it as a structured, voluntary conversation that's guided by a neutral third party, the mediator, and helps people in conflict find their own resolution. There's no judge, there's no ruling. The parties really have the power to decide what kind of an agreement they will engage in. So, just for that point of reference. Uh, Tara, I'm going to ask you to take over and talk a little bit about why is this Administrative Dispute Resolution Act even functioning? Why is mediation important?
Yeah. I mean, aside from the ADRA, the Dispute Resolution Act, and how it's requiring agencies to promote the use of ADR, I'd love to just share with you a couple of considerations for other reasons that federal agencies use mediation. So, when we have done research and others have done research on agencies that have strong mediation programs, they consistently report a few things. The first is that when they have mediation in place, there are fewer formal EEO complaints that are filed, right? That number goes down, which also reduces the time, the staffing, the energy that it takes to be involved in an EEO complaint. Secondly, they report shorter time in resolution. When someone files a complaint or there's a conflict in a team or between individual employees, it's often dragged out and sometimes not resolved and continues to pop up. So when mediation is involved, there's shorter time to resolution. There's also lower litigation costs. If you were to go through with a formal procedure with the courts, you're going to lower your costs by going through a mediation and the administrative burden of that. And then honestly, mediation programs often report higher employee morale overall and higher retention rates when employees go through a positive mediation process. And particularly when individuals have to continue to work together. I've seen this time and again. If they have to be coworkers or it's a supervisor and employee, mediation actually helps repair or reset the relationship so that the conflict isn't the thing that gets in the way again and again in the future, and they work better together, hopefully, on a path forward. So providing internal mediation in your agency or in your organization isn't just simple conflict resolution, especially with the recent federal layoffs, reorganizations, and mission changes that are happening for so many of you in agencies. This is the moment where differentiation of your skills really matters enormously. And getting a certification like the professional mediation certificate that's offered is what sets you apart. So if we hop to the next slide, I wanted to just say a little bit that, conflict has been around for a long time in workplaces and in federal agencies, but the need has never been greater than right now. There is a steep rise in conflict that is coming from changes in the environment, changes in the administration, mission shifts, priority shifts. So federal workplace conflict is on the rise, right? The disputes are climbing and the need for it is even greater. Interestingly, along with that, that means disputes are happening sometimes in different places. If teams are merged together or departments are now taking on other responsibilities, there's often disconnect, miscommunication, hiccups and gaps in information. All of that leads to potential conflict. So federal agencies now handle hundreds of thousands of cases, more than even the federal courts. The federal government professional mediation capacity is more critical than ever right now. Organizations want more employees who have the skills to recognize and more effectively resolve disputes at the lowest level. So the capacity is shrinking, the need is going up, and certified professionals inside agencies are more critical than ever. It's why you're here, hopefully, right? All organizations want employees who can have these skills, employ these skills, and help catch conflict at those early lower levels before it escalates. So this course is really what makes it great for you. This course is that you want to be able to resolve day-to-day disputes, maybe become a formal mediator for your agency, and also build out your own resume to make you more attractive in your current role, but for future roles as well. So we're going to share a couple of examples of federal agencies that ADR Vantage has worked with and supported over the years. Each of these have taken great strides in providing employees with mediation skills. And I think these will be good examples for us to share. So the first one is one of my agencies I've worked with for 10 plus years, the Transportation Security Administration. They actually use ADR Vantage as a contractor to mediate disputes, to help train their internal mediators to learn to mediate, to build out their internal mediation program. And they even have a peer mediation model where they're teaching each other through work with ADR Vantage. And I think this has been a particular highlight of my career. I think it has for Melinda too. We've both worked closely with them and seen this be sort of the linchpin of understanding how to catch employee disputes at an early stage. When you have trained mediators in your workforce, they understand your culture, your agency's mission, and honestly, that's how resolution and mediation happens faster and more effectively. So next, I want to just touch quickly on the Department of the Air Force. This is another amazing agency that is using mediation and conflict resolution. They have an Office of Negotiation and Dispute Resolution. They provide mediation across the world, including conflicts between coworkers and EEO matters and disputes within teams, just like TSA. ADR Vantage has provided contract mediators. We've co-mediated with Air Force internal mediators, and we've just supported their dispute resolution program for over 10 years now as well. Both Air Force and Space Force are truly benefiting by taking a system-wide approach, and we've been able to support that. And then lastly, another quick example is the National Archives and Records Administration. NARA has something called the Resolve program, and they mediate coworker complaints, supervisor-employee tensions, EEO matters, and other team disputes. We have worked with them for a long time in providing mediation, and it's really resulted in fewer complaints over time and a savings of resources and energy. So I just really looking at these again. I love seeing these agencies do it, and I'm glad you all are here to learn how you might be able to support your agency. Studies show significant settlement rates using mediation and extremely high participant satisfaction. But even when the cases don't settle, Melinda and I see this again and again, and the research shows it, that even when they don't settle, parties report feeling heard and treated fairly. And that's what they really get out of the process so that they can then carry that on and know they can more effectively resolve disputes in the future. So that sense of fairness is exactly what reduces repeat complaints and grievances. People don't want just outcomes. They actually want a fair process in the midst of all this. So one more time, we're going to use that emoji function. Find that little react button at the bottom and give me a thumbs up if your agency, you think, based on what you've heard so far, could benefit from having trained internal mediators. And if you already have them, give me a thumbs up too. Yeah, I see a lot of, there's all the thumbs. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we think so too. We think all agencies could benefit from having trained internal mediators. Yeah, thank you so much for replying. So what does it actually take to become a resource in your agency and or in other places as a certified mediator and build the skill set that you could use anywhere? We're going to talk more about the certification course. Amanda, I'm going to ask you to drop that handout again into the chat in case you missed it earlier or you've joined us since the beginning. The handout has lots of details including what we've been talking about. And for those of you on a leadership track, I want to share a little bit. I love how Melinda's putting up this slide to remind us this is not just a participation course. This is a nationally recognized credential that's going to advance your career, advance your skill set. We are accredited with Grad School USA. They are accredited as continuing education and training and can offer CEUs. Our course, you'll get a certificate, you'll get a badge of completion, and we're going to tell you in a little while about all the continuing ed units and credits that you can receive by participating in the course. So again, for those of you on a leadership track or who are developing people, this is going to be particularly important for you. Melinda, I might be off on a slide, so I'm just jumping ahead into that. And for those of you who I said are leading people, and for anybody else, right? This is the credential that's really going to set you apart. This is a recognized professional credential in a couple of different ways. If you jump back, Melinda, to that slide, thanks. I just want to make sure everybody's clear. Our 7-day virtual course meets the basic requirement for a lot of different programs. You will be able to mediate in state courts across the country, regardless of where you're located. Most courts require somewhere between 20 and 50 hours of training. Oftentimes, you'll hear that professional mediation training courses are 40 hours plus. So ours goes above and beyond. We meet that requirement. So you'll be able to have the credentials to mediate there. Our training also qualifies you under the ADRA, the Administrative Dispute Resolution Act, to serve on your agency's internal mediation roster if you have one, or on another agency's roster, or as a contract mediator. And our certification also is recognized by the Association for Conflict Resolution and the National Association of Certified Mediators, both of which give you really the credential you want to be able to advance your career and your experience. Thank you for stepping back on that one. So just a reminder, HR folks who are in the room, or anybody who supervises people or who is in a talent development or a people role, we are a SHRM, the Society for Human Resources Management recertification provider. So you are going to get your PDCs, your professional development credits. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is going to give you that practical toolkit to prevent formal complaints, work with hostile environment claims, and really minimize your agency or your organization's legal exposure. If you simply aren't in an HR role, I shouldn't say simply, but you're really managing people and leading people. If you're a supervisor, a manager, a leader, you're going to get to use these skills every day, every meeting, every performance review, in every difficult conversation. You're going to be that much more prepared. So as we move forward, I believe we're going to talk a little bit about the details of the course. And Melinda, I'm going to turn it to you.
Okay. Yes. So we want to just sign off here. So, excuse me. There we go. If you happen to be, for some of those of you that are on the senior executive track, if you will, we're not going to go through these, but just want you to know that the mediation certification course really also addresses each one of the ECQs related to leadership. So it's also can be really considered a leadership development course as much as a mediation course as well. And as Tara talked about, you're going to use this kind of every day in every way. Want to talk about the actual course and what you will experience. What you see on the screen are a lot of discrete skills and topics. So we do some talking at you, but you should be prepared that the vast majority of the class is not talking about skill development, but developing your skills. Not talking about theory, but talking about what does it look, feel like in practice. So you'll be ways to really practice discrete skills and then putting them together and practicing them in fuller role play simulations based on a variety of different kind of case facts. all of which have come from real life, and all of which we hear over and over and over again once people leave the training and then go into the mediation room, that these cases were way more realistic than they ever thought they might be or could be when they were actually practicing them in the class. So they've been vetted. They're pretty good experiences to get your feet wet and to practice and learn. This is something that you have to do by doing. You can hear about it, but you're not really going to know how to do it until you practice it. There is a 7-stage model and process that we advocate that helps you sort of figure out where you are in the mediation process, and then you put a whole lot of skills together to make it happen. Again, this is a bit redundant, but you will, be able from day one to start using these skills. We're gonna give you a little bit of a taste going forward around 2 core skills. We're going to do it in a way that is not as interactive as you would experience during the real PMC course, but since we have a large number of people here in a webinar format, we're not able to do that. But we're going to try to make that happen. So I'm going to transition to that and give you a little bit of a taste. I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. Before we do that, we want to talk with you about positions and interests, which are something that's key to any mediation or conflict resolution. And so we really hone on your ability as a mediator in the training to identify the differences between positions and interests and to help people to work around their interests, which can open up a whole world of opportunities. So at the heart of every kind of workplace, people come in knowing what they demand, right? Or what they think they want. And mediators' ability to really get underneath that and figure out what is the need, the concern, the value, the whatever that's driving them to demand what they are demanding, right? Their position. So once you're able to do that, you are able to really uncover the real root of the problem, the real things that are important, and start talking about that versus position versus position. I'll do this, no, I won't. I'll do that, no, I won't. So I'm going to read you a scenario, and then we're going to put another poll up here. And what I want you to do is to try to figure out what is the interest that you hear in this scenario. So here's the situation. Taylor and Jordan are both on a project team and have had some recent disagreements. They agreed to go to mediation, and during the mediation, Taylor says, I need Jordan off this project. Every time I bring something to the group, Jordan shoots it down and undermines my credibility in front of the team. I cannot work with him anymore. So, if you were the mediator, how might you point out or consider Taylor's interests? Is it to be heard and respected in a group setting? Is it to feel that her contributions are taken seriously? To have a functional working relationship with Jordan? Or to protect her professional credibility? Or to be removed from the project? And I see there's a note here on the poll that gives you a heads up that that one is really a position and not an interest. So we'll need to, this is our first time we've run that. So that's funny. So that last one you can see is actually a position regardless. We'll get that fixed for the next webinar.
Mhm.
So choose out of those, which one are interests? You can select all that apply. What do you consider to be interests? Obviously, other than the last one, which is their position, but select all that you think are apply.
Everybody's getting excited about taking these polls, right?
We only
Popping up,
have a
popping
couple
up.
of more. I know we're maybe are poll heavy, but we
Yeah.
wanted so we're so used to being very interactive that this webinar format is hamstringing us in. All right,
Yeah.
so let's see. What are we saying? Okay, so this was a select as many. So right, a lot around respect, being heard, contributions being seriously taken, the working relationship, professional credibility. Yes, all of those are in fact the interests that are articulated here. And you're, as a mediator, you're going to want to figure out, okay, which is, are they all equal, right? Are they all equally important to you? What rises to the top? Because that's where you're really going to want to work with the parties to address those things, right? Or keep those in mind as they figure out what they want to do. You told me X was most important to you. So let's talk about that. All right, we're going to do one more of these. Reframing is another really, really important skill that we harp on, if you will, in the training course, certification course. And Tara's going to give you a taste of that one.
Yeah. So thanks so much for working with these polls. I just for a second am reflecting, right? For those of you, and I think we've got some mediators in the room, for those of you who really understand the difference between positions and interests, what somebody says they want and what they really need is a very different thing. And it's a real art form as a mediator to get good at that. So let's try one more skill. We're going to talk about reframing. Melinda, if you'd hop ahead just one slide for me.
Yes.
So reframing is the skill of taking a negative, accusatory, or emotionally charged statement and restating it back in a more neutral, interest-based, right? Like, what do they really want? What do they really need? Interest-based language. So it's kind of like shifting the blame in a sentence to what the person actually is requesting or feels is most important to them. It's a heavy skill, right? It's a really advanced skill. It takes a lot of practice. It's an art, not a science. But we're going to give a little example. So I'm going to give you a quick oral example, and then we're going to go back to that Taylor and Jordan situation that Melinda mentioned. So somebody might say in a mediation, my supervisor never gives me credit for anything I do. I work twice as hard as everyone else, and it's like I'm invisible. So if a mediator were to reframe that, it sounds like recognition for your contributions is really important to you, and you're hoping your supervisor has greater awareness of what you do. That is packaging the reasonable request underneath that hot statement they put out there. So let's practice it for a second. We're going to go back to that scenario with Jordan and Taylor, right? Remember, reframing is about taking that emotionally charged negative accusation and changing it into a more neutral, interest-based language. So let's assume we're back in the mediation with Taylor and Jordan, and Jordan says, Taylor's loud during meetings. He's completely inconsiderate and has no respect for anyone. As a mediator, we're going to pop up the poll with these same choices. What do you think would be the best reply for a mediator? Just pick one. This time we're narrowing you in. You only get to pick one. Take a sec and choose what you think would be maybe the best mediator response. And Amanda, if you would drop the handout into the chat one more time, we've got a request in the Q&A. All right, so get your poll answers quickety quick. Those of you who are listening and multitasking to this, take a step away, come back to the poll, answer it quick, and then Shige is going to share out our response. I think it might be taking us a little bit longer to get our responses because people might really be thinking about this one. Ooh, look at this. Okay, I love it. I love it. So most of you picked, but it was close between the first two choices, right? Interestingly, yeah. So let's talk this through. So I'm going to tell you that option B is the right answer. Sounds like you're requesting that Taylor try to keep his voice level down during meetings. That doesn't mean the rest of you are wrong, right? But we're going to tell you why we think that's the best one. So if you want to take the poll down, that's okay, the results, but let's leave this slide up. So option B, it really takes the blame out of that initial sentence makes it less emotionally charged, and it reflects back the underlying request because the request is there, wanting to keep the voice level down during meetings, right? Being able to take out that blame, reflect back the underlying request, that one skill can completely change the trajectory of a conversation and a mediation session. When the emotions are high, people can only hear the blame. So a mediator's got to cut through that. And we're going to practice that a million times and make you really good at it during the 7-day course. Let me just quickly go through the other responses because I appreciate that some of you selected those. So a lot of you selected A. It was the most popular one. You feel Taylor is inconsiderate and doesn't respect you or others. And it's almost like a feedback of what the person said. But unfortunately, what that does is it labels the other person as inconsiderate, right? It kind of, Jordan said it, and now the mediator is saying it too, right? So we don't want to do that because it will feel like to Taylor listening to it, it's disrespect. And that may not be the way you want to start out a sentence for them, right? And it may not be the case that they're inconsiderate. Maybe it's another reason that this is happening and there's just a misinterpretation. C, some of you chose that. You blame Taylor for what's happening between the two of you. That may be true, right? But it reinforces the blame component. It kind of focuses on the past rather than sort of pointing them towards the future and what they're requesting of each other. And D, I think only one or two of you selected it, and I get why you did. When they say it's realistic, is it realistic to think you'll have quiet during meetings, right? It's a close-ended question for one, right? So it kind of shuts down the conversation, and it is a bit accusatory. It's sort of saying like, hey, are your expectations sound unrealistic, right? None of which really puts them future-oriented and neutral. So it's a tough skill. It's an art. A lot of you got really, got it right or got it very close. But that particular scenario, that friction between coworkers, is one of dozens that you're going to practice in the mediation course. And we'll give you lots more tips and skills on how to get really good at reframing. So we're going to do one more quickie poll. Don't think that you don't get to participate, even though I can't see your face. All right. This one is based on everything you've heard so far. What would make enrolling in the professional mediation certificate course easier for you? We'd just love to know. Do you need approval? Is it the training budget or funding? Do you need more information, which we're going to get to? Maybe scheduling. You've seen the dates and you're not sure. Just take a sec, pop in your answer. If you don't know, that's okay too.
And just to let you know, this is the last poll, so participate now or forever hold your participation.
All right, take a sec, do that. And then we are going to move into all the specifics of the course. Those of you who are done with the polls, well, that's all right. We got some good responses. All right. Yeah. Thank you for being so honest. Right. So these are all really, really common that we see, right? Is that you need your supervisor's approval, you got to check on your training budget and funding, or maybe you need some more details, right? So if it's a training or a budget issue, which this seems to be the most popular one, it's actually the most common barrier that we hear as well. And here's the good news. The SF 182 process is a lot simpler than you think. If you've never accessed that, we can help you. Grad school has worked with a ton of federal agencies. That's their primary client. And so they can help you walk that through. If your agency can't afford the whole tuition, many participants split it with their agency. So maybe you pay some and they pay some. If you think enough people in your agency or your department might be interested in this, we can work out reduced group rates. And we can also work with other options for you. So absolutely contact us. I'm going to ask Amanda to drop the graduate school website there just because it's an easy click and you can find out more. If it's about your supervisor, right, we can help with that too. So we have prepared materials you can share with your supervisor, and we're happy to speak to them directly about the return on investment for sending you. So we got your back on that. And if schedule is a thing, we run multiple cohorts a year. We've got one coming up in June. And if those dates don't work out, you can reach out to us and we can schedule for you. So lots of different options. I'm going to walk you through the specifics right now real quickly. So let's make sure you know all the details, right? So this course checks the continuing education or professional development box for a lot of you, giving you skills that you're going to use all the time in the workplace. You will be awarded 4.2 continuing education units by an accredited institution, Graduate School USA. And if it matters to you, SHRM, the Society for Human Resources Management, issues 42 professional development units, which is almost all you need for the entire year. So you're really getting a lot out of this, and a lot of other disciplines, social work, learning and development, leadership and supervision. A lot of those disciplines also require continuing education. So be thinking about that. Also, along the way, I was waiting for the big click, Melinda. So I was like building up to it.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Is everything is virtual, no travel, no mileage, right? We got you, but it's online, but it's live. It's with feedback with coaches and trainers. It's practice, it's role play. It is very engaging. 7 days spread out over 2 weeks so that you get a little bit of time in between to go back to work and do what you need to. It's 9 to 4:30 every day with morning and afternoon breaks, lunch breaks built in. All that happens for you to make it really, really easy. And then the class size, I think, is terrific. We maintain small class sizes, and we've got these upcoming cohorts for you to be thinking about. So there's a June and a September cohort. Basically, the first week is Tuesday through Friday. And then the next week, you work on Monday and you go Tuesday through Thursday. That's it. You walk out with a professional certification that most people do not have. And really, it is the skill that sets you apart on your resume, on your job description. I love this. So again, I said the class size, I mentioned that. Class size is small. We intentionally limit it to make sure that you get your best learning in that small class size. Melinda, if you'd click that again, and then the last one, which is really about the cost, right? So it is $34.99. You can do it in installment plans. You can use your agency funding for professional development or training or the FS 182. We also have the ability to talk to you about interagency agreements. So there's lots of ways to get at this. You can talk to your training officer, contact Graduate School USA, right? These courses are comparable to you going to a conference, maybe out of state and traveling, right? But you're going to get, for this price, a certificate that lasts a lifetime, right? A credential that lasts a lifetime. And mediation skills aren't just for the workplace. Every skill you build in the course, listening to understand, reframing, helping people find common ground, you'll use that with your family, your neighbors, a community group you're in. These are human skills. So I have often thought that this is the skill that sets me apart in every job I've had. So we're going to be sharing the dates of our other conflict resolution classes. So maybe if you're not ready for this full course, you might want to test out some of our other classes that are shorter. So we're going to get to that in a moment, but let's just stop and do some Q&A, Melinda. What do you think?
I think that would be great. So, what are your questions right now? If you would go to that Q&A button that we pointed out earlier. And Tara and I are going to sort of go back and forth with these. And we've got one, not everybody can see them, but one has come in around, is this necessary to have any prior mediation experience before you come in? And it sounds like we have some mediators in the audience as well. And the short answer is no, right? You don't have to have any conflict resolution background, theory, understanding, practice, mediator practice, none of that. You can come in and we assume people are coming in without that experience. If you have it, you certainly can contribute and add value to the other participants in the course and so forth. But the answer to that is no.
Yeah.
Do you get to place alphabets behind your name? Yeah, I wish. I always love all that. But no, there is not a specific alphabet that relates to this particular certification, unfortunately.
Although what I will say, and I really appreciate that question about the alphabet, you're going to get a Credly badge that you can add to your LinkedIn profile or anywhere else that you see it. You're going to get the certification that's from an accredited institution with a certificate, right? A digital badge. So there's lots of ways that you can anchor that to your experience.
Exactly.
Yep.
Paying out of pocket, using the installment plan, how would that work? I don't know if Amanda is
Yeah.
around. She might, or Tara, you might know the answer to that. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, you absolutely can pay out of pocket using the installment plan. Graduate school works with anybody who would be available to do that. And Amanda, I'm going to ask if you would just drop in the link for the course. And it kind of walks you through and any information that you can provide, and we'll follow up. Great question. Great question. Other questions from the group? I see one actually in there. Can I use the certification to mediate cases outside my agency? Absolutely, you can. Depending on your state or your or the agency that's requesting it, different mediation programs have different requirements, but most of them accept a certification from an accredited institution for 40 hours plus of training. So you can use it in your own agency. You can be a contract mediator for another agency. You can be on another roster. It absolutely applies. Yep, yep.
Right.
Any other questions in there? Do you see one,
Yeah,
Melinda?
there's one around really just the time away from regular duties for a 7 day course. And we want to we understand completely that is a chunk of time. And as I said, most of that time is going to be spent practicing. So again, it takes some time to develop that. We have tried to think through this way. So the course runs Tuesday through Friday 1 week, and then Tuesday through Thursday the next week. And so we tried to alternate to make sure that during that 2 week period, you're in the office, right? It's not a full 5 days away, and you have a break away from the video learning all day and things like that. So we try to do that, but we understand it is a chunk of time away from your regular duties.
Yeah, let's get this last question and then we're
Yeah,
going to share some other details. Melinda, I'll read it, but you can certainly
please.
respond. How do the tools and skills learned in a mediation course differ from training on negotiation? Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, it's a lot of the skills are the same. Kind of the way and the frame of reference that you put it are different. So when you are a participant in the negotiation, right? You are one talking directly with somebody else. All of these wonderful skills that you ask questions of the other guy about their interests, try to figure out options that satisfy everybody's needs and things like that. All those discrete skills you can use as a negotiator, as well as then turn them around and help two people, to communicate and negotiate better. That's why when we started this, lawyers loved it because it made them better negotiators at their job. They settled more of their cases by having these skills and abilities and ways of working with the other party to do that. So sometimes I've heard mediation called assisted negotiation. And so the skills are very transferable. The processes are a little different. Your perspective is either a party to the negotiation or a third party outside of the negotiation, helping two people to reach resolution is a little bit different in the way you apply them. But
Yeah, I'll just add quickly because I've taught university courses in negotiation and in mediation. So one, you don't get a certificate in negotiation. You go to law school and do a full thing. The being a professional mediator is a recognized credential and profession, and I think it brings some gravitas to your skill set and your career. Also, mediators are helping other people negotiate. Just like a small thing, right? You're learning the skills to help them have the best negotiation. You're not negotiating it on their behalf. And so there's a subtle difference there. You'll learn so much more, I think, in mediation and how to leverage it in your own life. So great, great question. Let's jump over, if we can, continue to put your questions in the chat. If you have them, we'll answer them. But we want to make sure we share with you these other courses that we mentioned, because if you're not ready for the professional mediation certificate course, we hope you are. But we want to share these other courses. Melinda, you want to hop into those?
Yeah, and we've got links in the handout. There's links being thrown in the chat and all kinds of ways to get at these. You can see down the side the days that they're coming. We've tried to give it a 1, a 2, a 4-day option. So there's a one specifically for managers and supervisors and leaders around how to kind of be a manager, but also be mediator-like to help your employees move forward in a different way with each other. Using AI to prepare for difficult conversations. AI is here. And really using it in an interpersonal arena is a whole other ball of wax, right? And so we are helping to guide you in doing that if you so choose. The art of productive disagreement. You in that poll that we took, a huge amount of conflict or tension, rather, I think is the way the poll was written, between supervisors and employees, or between peers on teams, or between teams, and so forth. So, if that's something you want to learn more about, the art of productive disagreement, and how to, we've got a model called SHAPE, how to really help you in that. I'm a party to it, right? I'm not a mediator of it, but I'm a party to some disagreement, and I want to be able to make it productive in the workplace and have the skills and way to do that. The fourth one is a little bit different. It's really a bit more of facilitation and wrangling a group of people to move through a process. But leading work groups that work is also another certification course that we offer. That's 4 days. And it's great in this environment. There's a lot of task forces or work groups that might be within a unit or might have cross units. In a lot of organizations are matrix organizations, and everybody comes to the table from a different work unit or whatever. And if you are chairing or leading those groups, what are the best skills, abilities, and processes to move people forward? So those are our courses that we've got up, and we're happy to talk with you. We can make these are what's available to the public for everybody to sign on. But if you think your organization is interested in something along these lines, we can provide it as is, or we can also tailor it to meet whatever needs you might have within your specific organization or unit. If you need to get in touch, what Tara and I have offered to talk to your supervisors, to talk with you, to talk with your agency representatives, we are happy to do all of that. And you can reach us at workbetter@adrvantage.com. That is an email address that everybody monitors, so you'll get a response from somebody really quickly, even if one or the other of us happen to be out. In final, thank you, right?
Yeah,
Conflict
we're
is
going to give you.
inevitable, but you can figure out a way to deal with it. So we do hope that we see you in an upcoming course. Yeah, Tara.
Thank you, everyone. We're giving you 2 minutes of your time back, so that's a super bonus. Hi, Amanda. Thank you. All right. Take care. Amanda, any last thoughts?
No, great job, ladies. This was excellent information. I'm happy that we had a great audience here to learn more about it.
Look for your email box tomorrow. You'll get a nice follow-up from us. Take care, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Shige.
Thank you.